Hi, welcome to the show. This is Smart Money Moves with Marc Trost. And Marc, I'm very excited to have you share some of the things we're going to talk about today. Retirement mistakes that cost you millions. That's a strong statement. What's your background in mistakes? I know you've learned a lot from your family and from your clients. What do you think some of the most common mistakes are that people make?
Failure to plan or thinking that the plan they have is just fine.
So how often should people update their plan?
As often as they think necessary, but at bare minimum, every 5-10 years at most.
And so failure to plan is one of the most common mistakes. And what do you recommend for people when they are planning? I know you sometimes go to an estate planning attorney and they might do a will, they might do a trust. Can you speak to the difference between those two approaches and what would indicate that someone needs to have a trust versus a will?
Well, everybody should have a will, regardless, but not everybody needs to have a trust. So our family had a issue with the will, and those do need to be updated every so often. And then, but afterwards, we ended up having a trust as well. So my wife and I have a trust, and it depends on what your goals are that you're looking to accomplish. A will says, okay, you get this, you get this, you get this, and the rest goes over there, and it's just meant to disperse the estate. Whereas a trust will allow you to do, it's kind of a morbid term, but it allows you to manage from the grave. So it allows you to say, okay, I want this asset or this base of assets that I've accumulated over my entire life and I've worked very hard to. I don't want to have it just wasted and have the kids go buy a private island or spend it on fast cars or trips to Las Vegas or whatever. So it allows them to say, okay, this is how I want my estate to be managed moving forward by this trustee that I put the trust into.
And I think that's fair because you have either earned or inherited that money, and your values will shape how that money is then spent.
A lot of times, children, when they receive that windfall of cash, they don't know what to do with it if it's not properly managed. And typically what ends up happening is it's gone within about 9 months, regardless of what amount it is.
Hmm.
And some parents are not comfortable with that. Some are. We've
Mhm.
had that. And I'm dead. I'm gone. They can do whatever they want with it. Go for it.
Mhm.
Others want to see a more fiscal financial responsibility from their children or their heirs.
So, what are the dangers of withdrawing too much money too soon? Is that a mistake some people make in their financial planning?
Running out of money is the worst situation for somebody in retirement because they don't have the ability to turn around and make more money typically. They've retired and they're out of the workforce, and they by that point don't have the ability to go back into the workforce. So they're just stuck living off of whatever they're getting from Social Security at that point. So there can be a big downfall to taking too much money out too quickly in a unmanaged manner. So if you have something that is allowing for that to be managed, then yes, it's going to be far more beneficial because then you've set up a budget for yourself, or at least at that point that you can live within. And that's going to be something that a good financial advisor or financial professional will be able to help you determine, what do you need? What are you looking to do? What do you need to live off? We do make people a little uncomfortable sometimes because we do have to ask those questions and they're oftentimes not prepared. But yes, we will ask those tough questions because we need the clarity for that individual. Not everybody is the same financially. In fact, most of my clients, they have a lot of the same needs, but how we approach them oftentimes is different.
Hmm. So, what do you think one simple adjustment that could make a big difference in people's outlook for retirement?
Clarity, certainty, understanding what do you have? What am I going to be able to get out of this? What is this going to do for me? Because we don't know how long someone's going to live. So right now we have to plan for somebody living well into their 90s or beyond, frankly,
Mm-hmm.
at this point, with the miracles of modern medicine and what's happening. So we try to make certain that we work within the confines of what the client brings to the table. What do they have? What are their needs? And make certain that those needs are met. And we do that by asking a lot of questions.
Let me ask you this question, Mark. If someone is in their 60s, what should they be doing now to ensure a more secure retirement? Now, they are probably still working for a few more years, but they're thinking about retiring and they come to see you. What's the one thing you recommend to ensure that they have a more secure path forward?
Sit down with a financial professional as soon as you can. So the sooner you do that, the easier it will be and the less expensive it will be. When you need to make very sudden course corrections later in life, it becomes much more expensive and people are more likely to not take advantage of that, regardless of how much it will help them. The more time that we have to work with someone, the better. I like to see 5 years, 10 years is better, but even further out than that is ideal because they're younger, they're less expensive, it's easier to make those corrections, they're not as painful, and it's less expensive and it's easier on the wallet, and it doesn't have such a huge impact on their financial life moving forward.
Now, do you ever have someone come in, maybe even younger, like say in their 30s, they've graduated from college, they've started working a few years, they're starting to create some income and they wonder, what do I do to make sure that when I'm older, I have a good nest egg?
We do have clients in, the late 40s, early 40s, but also my son, who is 25. We actually brought him in. He got out of the Marine Corps a few years ago, got a really good job, and then came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to make certain that I'm good in retirement. How do I do that? Let's sit down and take a look." And we set him on a course right now at age 25. When he gets to his retirement age at 70, he's going to make far more money in retirement, tax-free, not tax-deferred, tax-free, than he's probably going to make in the next 3 years working full-time. So he'll be making that on an annual basis. He's just really starting to get started right now, and I don't know why he decided to come talk to me all of a sudden, because I'm dad. But
I know, but I was just going to say, this is a tribute to you and your parenting and how you raised this young man, because not only did he serve our country by going into the Marines, but then coming out and actually asking Dad for advice. Like, that says a lot.
Yeah, first of all, I was shocked, believe me, pretty well. I'm still had to pick myself up off the floor.
Well, maybe as a teenager, did he ask for advice often?
We're a pretty close family.
Okay, so that wasn't uncommon.
No.
But I have heard that young people's minds and emotions actually develop about the age of 25 when their prefrontal cortex starts becoming mature and they start seeing a bigger picture than just what's in it for me.
I think part of it was also him listening to some of the stories that I would tell of, the frustrations, the successes, the losses, but he turned out pretty darn good, to be honest with you.
Wow,
So
that's fantastic. And do you see him moving into following your footsteps in financial services?
he has thought about it, and it would be ideal for me to be able to turn the firm over to him. But we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
He's still trying
He's
to
very young.
he's very young. He's still trying to make up what he wants to drive. Figure it out. So,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark. It's been great talking to you about the challenges people have in retirement, in planning, whether they need a will or a trust, and knowing that your firm can answer those questions for them. And they can contact you at
www.marktrostfinancial, and that's Mark with a C, marktrostfinancial.com, or they can email me at Mark with a C at marktrostfinancial.com.
Excellent. And you will find those things in the show notes below in case you didn't have time to write that down. And we look forward to hearing more about financial services and where planning could take us
Thank you.
in our next episode. Thank you.